Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, your visionary writing guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers from Monday, the 25th of September to Sunday, the 1st of October, 2023. So we just passed through the Equinox Portal and we've entered into the season of Mabon here in the Northern Hemisphere, the autumn season, that season of rich harvest, abundance, the reds, the golds, the yellows, those warm, kind of nourishing autumn colors that signify and signal the beginning of our descent into the underworld for the dark half of the year. In ancient goddess astrology, the sign of Libra was known as the claws of the scorpion. It was the entryway into the underworld of Scorpio. Scorpio that we pass into at Samhain when we really move into that death portal of the year, the death and rebirth portal. So Libra season, the season of Mabon, is that entry point into the dark half of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. And you may begin to be noticing a shift, a turn towards introspection and interiority. But Libra is also the first sign in the zodiac that actually asks us to share our energy outwards with others. So from Aries at the beginning of the wheel through to Virgo, our energy is it's self-developmental. When we move into the second half of the year from Libra onwards, from the Libra equinox, balancing out the Aries equinox, we actually enter into the in the Northern Hemisphere, we enter into the more introspective seasons, and we also enter into astrologically relationship with others. So Libra holds this balance between self and other. My sense for the season that we are now moving into, the season of Mabon, is, especially as we move through the Libra part of that season, is that we will be invited to call in and balance out the really strong sense of self-sovereignty and autonomy and self-love and self-care that we have been gathering and gaining and connecting with through the first half of the astrological year, the astrological wheel. We've had so much strong Venus energy in these seasons, especially through Leo and Virgo season, where we had strong invitations to self-sovereignty in Virgo season, to be the sovereign, to be whole unto ourselves, not dependent on others for our needs, to be fully contained, to be the sovereign priestess, fully at one with the source of our own identity and abundance and sovereignty and autonomy. We had Leo season with the Venus star point, Venus going from retrograde to direct, and in that conjunction with the Sun, all happening in Leo during Leo season. A really strong invitation to self-love, self-care, self-expression, self-worth, self-value. And we now also have Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Taurus, again asking us to really go big on our sense and experience and what we're calling in relation to self-love, self-worth, self-care. We also have with the Taurus and with the Leo energies, we have the sensuality, the sensuous sensuality. In Taurus, that is earthy, and in Leo, that is fiery. So we have creative self-expression. And now at the balance point of the Libra equinox, we are invited to gather that self-sovereignty and bring that into relationship with others. And how do we do that? How will we navigate, particularly one-to-one relationships? Libra is a lot about self and other in one-to-one connections, and that might be partnerships, it might be loverships, it might be romantic relationships. It can also be work colleagues, people you live with, people you are close to. How do we bring that renewed and strengthened sense of self-sovereignty into our relationship with others in a healthy and balanced way? Because it's not about dominating the other. It's not about bringing our will to have power over others. But it's also not about being subservient to other people's dominating will either. And Libra, one of the shadow aspects of Libra, can be the people pleasing, the need to stay in harmony with others and not to speak up for our own needs, not to want to rock the boat in our relationships, and therefore to put our own needs last, or even to suppress our own needs entirely. I have a Libra moon, so I've grown up with that shadow side very present in my life, not knowing how to be in healthy, harmonious relationships with others often, and learning this through my family and my cultural conditioning as well, often being the one to step back and suppress my own needs in order to try and make other people feel welcome or comfortable, or not put them out in any way. And of course, that doesn't serve anybody in the relationship. Nobody is speaking their truth and nobody is getting their needs met. This is very much the pattern of relating that I grew up around and grew up with. And so that Libra moon in me is learning to bring my own sense of self as an equal into my partnerships, relationships, connections, and communities. How can I stand up for myself in my truth and yet respect and honor the truth and the needs of others, the other that I'm relating with? This Libra season can be a big invitation into exploring that relationship dynamic, especially as we have, I didn't check the dates, especially as we have the Libra New Moon eclipse coming up on Saturday, the 14th of October. So we're a couple of weeks away from the Libra New Moon eclipse, which of course is going to shake up and want to rebalance those relationships that we're in, or at least the way that we show up in relationships and partnerships and in relation to ourselves and others. How do we honor ourselves and the other in our relationships and partnerships? We'll have the South Node in Libra making that eclipse on the new moon of the 14th of October. So these are going to be karmic shifts in the ways that we relate to ourselves and others in our relationships. So how do we then bring that into our visionary writing and creative practice? For me, what's been coming up is a sense of, I know throughout, I'm very aware that throughout Leo season, especially Virgo season, these strong and probably Aries season, right through from Aries season, onwards, I've been really talking a lot about the ways that we create new forms, the ways that we create new structures, the ways that we essentially go out on our own and make new things happen, create new possibilities in the world where they did not previously exist. And we do that through our art and practice by creating new forms and structures that allow new possibilities to open in literally within the structure of the world. When we create new forms, when we experiment with new structures in our writing and our creative practice, we open up new possibilities in the structure of the world, at least in the structure of how we relate to the world around us and how we co-create with the world around us through the web of weird by which we're all connected. The changes we make in ourselves through our practice, and we bring that into the material world through our practice, have tangible impact on ourselves and the structure of the world. And the more people who connect with our writing and our art and our practice and our projects, the more that subtle shift resonates and spreads and magnifies. So we, as visionary writers and creatives, are very much part of the rebirthing of a new way of being, part of collectively and collaboratively orchestrating the symphony that the world sings to, because we are reweaving the threads. And that is so necessary because of the dominant narratives and the dominant structures and the dominant forms that we have all been led to believe are true. And as long as we continue to believe those dominant narratives, those dominant structures, those dominant forms, we continue to feed them with our belief and continue to co-create them and recreate them. Remember, as visionary writers and creatives, and literally as human beings and as any embodied beings on this world, as living sparks of the universe, we are co-creators all the time. The fact that we are in these physical bodies makes us potent and powerful co-creators in this physical world. And so we bring our creative practice into form again to reattune, to retune and realign some of the threads of the symphony of creation that have been very much deliberately manipulated and distorted and broken in order to separate us from our power as co-creators. And this is a very important part of our work as visionary writers and creatives. Again, I work a lot with releasing writer's block. And why do I work with that? Because it's so important that we, as visionary writers and creatives, have the structures and the mechanisms to move through the fears, the very real fears and traumas and memories and experiences that can keep us silent, because our work is so needed and our practice is so necessary for what we are doing to reshape and restructure and retune and realign the threads that create this world. And I want to balance that now as we move into the dark half of the year, and as we move through the Equinox Portal, the season of Mabon, and the astrological sign of Libra. How might you, how might I, how might we, in our visionary writing and creative practice, perhaps soften some of the edges of the autonomous new forms that we are creating? If that doesn't feel right, how might we bring our practice into more relationship with others, maybe through collaboration, maybe through reaching out to the people who we connect with and get feedback from them? What do they understand from our work? What do they receive from it? How do they perceive it? What is their relationship with it? What is their experience of it? How might they contribute to it or evolve it in their own way, in their own process? And I feel as well that this is a strong invitation to as we move into the dark half of the year, to listen more and open up more, receive more of our dreaming, our intuition, the storytelling. So what's coming through for me at the moment is this: yes, there are creative new forms and structures that are innovative and experimental and exploratory and exciting, that I love to work with. I love to create those new forms and structures and feel that visceral embodied sense of the way that my words land on the page and in the body and in the space. And that I can soften into other ways of relating with people that are perhaps less jarring and more nourishing, which is really why, for me, storytelling is coming back into my world as a powerful and nourishing and medicinal way to connect and communicate with others. Having been severed from our indigenous and ancestral stories for so long in this land, Bridget's Isles, having been separated from those stories for so long, we are lacking, or I myself feel, lacking the nourishment of knowing who I truly am and the threads of connection that bring me back to the land and the people and the seasons and the cycles and the stars. So beginning to research and find those stories, beginning to want to tell those stories, having a sense of even some of the rites of passage that are necessary in our lives that have been missing from our contemporary culture. How can we restory our own lives to call in the medicine that we need? And story is a powerful form for that, and story is an ancient form for that. In fact, it reminds me of something I wrote in my journal recently, which I'll have a quick look now, see if I can find it. It's just a few lines. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I was working with on the cusp of the equinox. Words are spells. Poems are rituals. Stories are medicine. And I truly believe that. So I'll say it again. I'll say it 3 times as a charm. Words are spells. Poems are rituals. Stories are medicine. Words are spells. Poems are rituals. Stories are medicine. So knowing this, or believing this, or sensing this helps me to begin to realign my practice so that, yes, I can still work with poetry as ritual in the ways that I love, to open up new forms, explore new rhythms, new structures, create new possibilities. But how also can I bring some of that innovation, that visionary innovation, into the old forms of story? And again, when I've been speaking about over the last couple of videos, for me to engage with story, I've had to go back beyond the linear narrative structures that we have been conditioned to in our recent contemporary cultural structures. I've gone back to begin to explore, I haven't read this yet, The Heroine's Journey by Maureen Murdoch. I've listened to a great podcast called The Heroine's Journey, which is 6 episodes, first in Spanish, then in 6 episodes in Spanish, 6 episodes in English, exploring the heroine's journey. And it made me think of something else I'd written in my journal, but because I can't remember exactly what I was going to look for, I'm not sure if I'll find it. That's quite recent. No, I think that one's lost for the moment. So an exploration for this season is to consider how might the creative and visionary and innovative aspects of your practice soften to allow relationship with others in ways that can help to create kinship and community and connection, and perhaps foster collaboration and co-creation. So I guess that's something that I'm kind of interested in exploring at the moment, especially through beginning to work more with with story and storytelling. Of course, we have the full moon. We've got the Aries full moon coming up this week on Friday, the 29th of September. So we're in a season at the moment, in a cycle at the moment, where the full moon is preceding the new moon. So we've just entered into Libra season. We will have the Aries full moon before we have the Libra new moon. And so again, in thinking about this polarity between self and other, the Aries full moon is I think really going to illuminate that polarity, and it's going to happen early on in Libra season so that we get to realign and rebalance, and probably will be bringing that back into balance through the portal of the Libra new moon eclipse. So, you know, we can expect perhaps this month, this season, to have a lot of that polarity illuminated. How do we bring our sovereignty and autonomy into relationship with others, and where is that out of balance? Especially this week leading up to the Aries full moon, we might notice where our energy is too dominant over others, or perhaps we notice where someone else's energy is too dominant over ours, because that Aries full moon can really illuminate this expansive sense of self, and I'm right and I'm doing it this way and I'm going to go and get it, and this is how it's going to be. And that's Aries, and it's full of fire and passion and individuality. Libra, in opposition to that, wants harmony, relationship, balance, equality, equity. So how will we balance that out through this season, and especially through this week, as perhaps some of those not so positive aspects of the shadow come up to be seen and illuminated in terms of our relationships with others? And that might continue to be unsettled as we move all the way through to the new moon eclipse portal, because I really can't say that we can expect that to settle anytime soon, as we are now entering into eclipse season. But let's see what the eclipse brings us in terms of karmically rebalancing and realigning those imbalances that we've been carrying in our relationship with others, and in our relationships with others. This is not to say that partnerships will end, but it is to suggest that perhaps if we have a karmic resolution to something that's showing up and being illuminated as out of balance in the ways that we ourselves relate with others, or the ways that we show up in relationship with others, are we too dominant? Are we too subservient? As that alignment gets karmically restructured, and we are able and invited at the equinox to let go of the old karmas that have kept us in these unhealthy relationship patterns, we can work with that energy, we can work with that portal, we can invite the realignment and the restructuring, the healthy, medicinal, alchemical, healing realignment and restructuring of the relationships that we want to keep going forward. The ones that are the ones that we are committed to, the ones that we are invested in, the ones that will continue to nourish us moving forward. We can take this opportunity as an invitation to realign and restructure those relationships on a healthier alignment, a healthier trajectory. And we also, again, can be working with this in terms of our visionary writing and creative practice. Where have we been too individualistic in our innovation? Where can we bring that back into a form that helps us to connect with others at the level of the heart? Where have we perhaps not been individualistic enough in our creative practice? Where have we been following old forms without having the courage to try something new? All of these, these aspects of the same polarity that can be out of balance in either way. So some of these things might be coming to the surface this week, this month, this season, as we are invited into karmic realignment around our relationship, our own relationships between self and other. So tarot card for the energy of this week, the powerful and potent energy of this week. I also wanted to mention Neptune this week. Neptune's quite active this week. Neptune is going to be in aspect to the moon and Venus and Mercury and Mars. So all of the personal planets and all of the most personal astrological bodies. So Neptune retrograde in Pisces will be interacting with all of those astrological bodies that are closest to us and most strongly felt in our energy fields. So again, this again might be inviting us to see the illusions and to move towards or have removals perhaps of karmic endings and karmic realignments, karmic readjustments of delusions that we've been carrying. Again, those stories, those narratives that have held us all in the illusion of powerlessness, the illusion of the world as it is being the only way that it could be. Expect Neptune in Pisces to be removing and revealing some of those illusions. And then the invitation to realign, to readjust, and to move forward in a healthier way. This week's card is the Three of Wands. Three of Wands is about waiting. Three of Wands is about we've prepared our internal energy and waiting for the moment to take action. Three of Wands tells us it's not the moment to take action. It's the moment to cultivate, well, we've cultivated the internal energy. It's time to be with that energy, to hold that energy internally, because it's not the time to step out. It's not the time to step forward into action. How can we the three cards often bring a sense of discomfort. How comfortable does it feel to stand in the energy of readiness, knowing that it's not yet time to move? How can we stay present with our internal energy, our internal life force, and hold ourselves in a state of readiness, awaiting the time to move, because Three of Wands also tells us that there will be time to make our move. But this is the time to be present with the energy that we've built inside, the readiness, the waiting, and to hold that, to be present with that, whilst we allow external circumstances to unfold, and the timing and the alignment to be right for us to take our next steps forward with the energy that we've cultivated. So those are all the things that I would like to mention in today's video. As ever, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the new people who have joined and subscribed and liked and followed and commented. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate you taking the time to do that. Please share these videos with your friends if you think that they will also resonate with what I'm saying here. And please feel free to come over and check out my website, writingthriving.com, or find me on social media at writingthriving, and we can see how we can connect. There are lots of things that I'm offering and will be beginning to offer some new things in the next few months. So take a look for what's there and how we can work together. Sending you lots of love. Thank you for being here, and look forward to seeing you again soon.